there. Welcome to Live by Design, a space where I hope you will find content that is informative, inspiring, and insightful. I'm your host, Mwadi Divinga. I'm a life strategist and a transformational speaker, and today is Wednesday, March 5th, 2014. So, how are you? I hope all is well in your world. It most certainly is in mine. I'm still in DC. Usually we tape on Tuesdays, but we had 2 days of snow days. So, the girls, my nieces, were here all day yesterday and all day Monday. So, this is my first opportunity to share this space with you, and I'm really, really excited about that. Everything is going well here. We are now, and I think in the second full week of operations at Bikram Yoga Riverdale Park. The space is beautiful. It's been so well received by everyone. So those of you who have come out and practiced with us, it has been our pleasure to have you there. And if you haven't checked it out yet, you have got to see this space. Kendra did a phenomenal job in the design, and she has attracted some of the best teachers in the District of Columbia, Maryland, Virginia area. So come through if you can. Check them out on their website. Our website is actually Kendra's website, but you know how I do. BikramYogaRiverdalePark.com, and if you can, again, come through. You're really going to enjoy it. As for me, I will be on the road in a couple of days. I'll be heading to Boston for the annual Origination Cultural Arts Center's dance auditions for the senior dance company. Those are this Sunday, actually. If you want some information about that, visit them at originationinc.org. And I have a few speaking engagements coming up. So if you want to know what I've been up to or what I'm going to be up to, and if you want to learn more about Originations events or anything else that I've been doing, visit me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. And you can also visit my website at mwadidibingaunlimited.com. Today, I want to talk about what I believe to be one of the most critical ingredients to any formula for success, and that is personal responsibility, taking responsibility for what is going on in your life. For those of you who don't know my background, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth, and I did not grow up in an ivory tower. It actually was the farthest thing from it. As a young person, I did experience poverty, incredible amounts of bullying. I've experienced discrimination, gender, age discrimination, racial discrimination in the workplace. And I've also experienced my share of relationship catastrophes. So I say all that to say that I know that the hustle is real. And I know that sometimes life can get really hard. What I also know, as someone who spent my entire career working in the nonprofit sector in grassroots organizations, I also know that there are systems that were put in place intentionally to oppress people of color, black people, to oppress women, to oppress gay people, to oppress people of different religious affiliations. So it's not all in our heads when we talk about these systems that are out there. They're real. It's been documented to show that, there are intentional policies, procedures, laws put into place to oppress people. That is real. And that's why I spent most of my career working with organizations whose sole purpose is to break down, to challenge some of those laws and some of those policies and some of those procedures. Having said that, what I also know to be true as a student of politics and a student of history is that even within the most dire of circumstances, in the most oppressed time, there have always been people who were part of the oppressed class, part of the people who were being oppressed. There was always those within those classes of people who found ways to survive and thrive in even the most dangerous of times. People who we know in history, Nelson Mandela, just to name one of the many. And then many people who we don't know, maybe your grandmother, maybe your mother, maybe your father, one of your parents or sibling. And my point is that no matter what's going on in the world outside of us, we still have a responsibility to do our part to cultivate our purpose and to cultivate our vision. And we still have the responsibility to take responsibility for whatever actions we have done that have contributed to our current circumstances. I'm going to say that again. We have the responsibility to take responsibility for whatever we may have done to contribute to the circumstances that you are experiencing, that we are experiencing right now in this moment. And it's not to say that we take blame, because it's about responsibility. It's not about looking to other people to fix us, looking at other people to heal us, looking at other people to take the responsibility and the blame for what has happened in our life. That kind of attitude, that kind of limited thinking will not get you the prize. It will not get you closer to your goals. It will not get you to your dreams. Yes, there are some things in this world that are beyond our control. I just wrote a blog about this winter. There is nothing we can do about Mother Nature. She might decide to start, that she wants it to start snowing in June. That's beyond our control. There's nothing you can do about gravity. It is what it is. However, there are some things that you can do, even in those situations where you're faced with something that you can't change. There are things that you can do to shift your perspective. There are things that you can do to shift your attitude. And there are things that you can do to shift your response to those circumstances that will allow you to have the things that you want. But you must first take responsibility for what you may have said or not said, what you may have done or not done that contributed to, may not be solely responsible for, but has contributed to what you're going through right now. So if you got fired from your job, yes, you can look at your supervisor, and you can look at your coworkers, and you can look at the distributor, whoever else is in that place of business, and you can point the finger, and you can probably find real specific tangible things that they, right, this infamous they did to get you fired, to get you removed from your job. But a responsible person, a goal-oriented person, does an environmental scan internally and looks at himself or herself and asks, well, what did I do? Is there anything that I could have done differently? Is there anything that I could have said differently that might have gotten a different outcome rather than my getting fired? What behaviors did I do that contributed to my now not having a job? If your relationship has now disintegrated before your very eyes, yes, we can look to our partner, your former partner, and lay out all the things that he did or all the things that she did that helped run your relationship into a ditch. And that is helpful, because we do want to bring a critical eye to our decision making around jobs. And we do want to bring a critical eye to our decision making around our relationships. You want to be able to look at people and learn from them and discern and be able to really see what it is about that person or what it was about that job that was not good for you, so you can bring that information to your next experience. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, what about you? Was there something that you did that you can point to, that you're wholly responsible for, that contributed to that situation? Because the truth of the matter is, as my mother told me when I was in the ninth grade, wherever you go, there you are. Meaning that the circumstances may change, the people may change, but if you do not course correct whatever is going on within you, if you do not bring a critical eye to yourself and ask yourself, what have I done to contribute to this situation, it's going to repeat itself over and over and over again. The hardship that you had on the job from which you got fired is going to follow you to the next one. The heartache that you had in the relationship that just, went south is going to follow you to the next one. Right? The health challenges that you experienced when you were living in this particular part of the country is going to follow you wherever you go. Right? It's not about pointing to and looking to other people and asking, what did they do? It's about looking at yourself and holding up the mirror and asking, what have I done? And how can I course correct? Again, there are systems out there that are designed for our oppression. There are systems out there that were intentionally created to keep you down, to keep me down, to keep people who look like me down, to keep people who have the same gender as me down. That is the truth. It is what it is. Rather than complaining about it, you could do like I've done. Dedicate your life to working to organizations that try to bring that oppression, break those walls down. That's an action, but that's not complaining. We have to recognize that even though those circumstances do exist, that does not absolve us of the responsibility of taking control of our lives to the extent that we can. So my message for you, for us, those of us who've made a decision, right, that this year we're coming up higher, and this year we're going for broke, and this year we're going to once and for all do those things that we must do to have those things that we say that we want to have. For those of us who have made that commitment, I challenge you As I challenge myself every day, ask yourself, when you look at your finances, when you look at your relationships, when you look at your health and wellness, when you look at your career, when you look at your spiritual practice, ask yourself the questions, empowering questions that will move you in a direction that will get you closer to what you want. The first of those questions must be, what have I done to contribute to this situation? What have I done? I know what Johnny did. I know what Boo Boo did. I know what Peanut and them did. And I can write a dissertation on all the other people who have contributed to my downfall or have contributed to this current circumstance. But that is not going to get me the gold. What's going to get me the gold is to ask myself, what have I done to contribute to this situation? Right? The next question that we have to ask ourselves is, what have I learned? What have I learned? What have I learned from this situation that I can carry forth? What have I learned from this mess up? What can I learn from this mess? What can I take from this that will allow me to come up higher and move me towards my goal? And the third question you have to ask yourself is, what can I change? What can I do differently? What will I do differently next time? What can I start doing right now? What change can I bring about in my behavior, in my attitude, and my perspective that will allow me to have success in this area in the future? The blame game is lame. I say that all the time, right? We could all sit and point to, a million and one reasons and a million and one people who are responsible for all the trials and tribulations that we're going through in our lives right now. We can blame our parents. We can blame our past lovers for not loving us enough and caring about us and abusing us and using us. Our parents didn't give us enough love, or this one betrayed me, or that. We can, and it's not to say that those things aren't true. They can be true. They most probably are true. But once we get past the fact that they are true, we have to then ask ourselves, now what? What am I going to do? What are you going to do? The first step in your liberation from mediocrity, and a very key important factor that's going to be essential to your success, is to take responsibility to the extent that you can for those things that are within your control. Again, ask yourself, what have I done to contribute to this situation? And what you've done, again, it may not be a direct action. It may be an act of omission. Maybe you didn't listen to your gut. You didn't listen to your instinct. You didn't speak up. Maybe you weren't truthful. Maybe you weren't kind. Maybe you allowed fear to take over. Maybe you allowed your anger to take over. Maybe you allowed your compulsions to take over. Maybe there's some behavior that you've had for a long time that has not served you, that has resulted in you being where you are right now. What have you done to contribute to your current situation? The second piece is, what have you learned? What have you learned about people? What have you learned about life? What have you learned about yourself from the current situation that you're in right now? I know that when I was in the height of my dramadom, when it came to my relationships, boy, the things that I learned about myself, and the way I contributed to my suffering, and the way I contributed to the suffering of others, has radically transformed not only my romantic interactions and how I relate to people in a romantic space, but also all of my relationships have been transformed for the better. I'm still a work in progress. Still got a lot to do. But I do know that taking responsibility for what I did that caused my relationships to end up the way they did, and learning from that, and bringing those lessons forward, has brought me so much peace and so much abundance and so much joy. I can't even put it into words, right? What have you learned? And then the third thing is, what can you change? What can you do differently? What new way can you be? What new ways of being can you adopt that will allow you to have a different outcome in the future? We can sit here from now until the end of time and point our finger at every single violation that has been done against us, every single injustice that has been done against us, every single act of violence, whether it be spiritual violence or physical violence that has been against us. We can do that, right? Or we can choose, right, to look at ourselves and look at our lives and say, okay, I can't change what happened to me. Now, I can become involved in efforts to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen to other people, right? I can vote. I can be active. I can go get myself healed. I can become an activist. So I'm not saying that we just sort of lay down, oh, it's okay, and forgive everybody, and not contemplate how things can be better. Because again, like I said at the beginning, the struggle is real, and oppression is real, and the pain is real, and the suffering is real. I understand that, and there are things that we can do individually and collectively to work together to bring an end to those things. I've dedicated my life to that. But at the same time, while doing that, I must look at myself. I have to ask myself, in my activism, am I allowing my anger to be the fuel for my work? Am I allowing the anger to take over me? Am I allowing that anger to seep into my other relationships, right? Even within the space of the most dire circumstances, you can still have power and control over your life by asking yourself, what can I do? How can I change? Who do I need to become to have the result that I want to produce? I can't change that. Or maybe I can change that, right? I know complaining won't change it. I know bemoaning won't change it. I know resisting won't change it. I know that I can take action to change that. But while I'm doing that, I can also look at myself. And I can also fix myself. And I can bring a healing a healing to myself, so that in the midst of doing real work, again, not complaining, but in the midst of doing real work to bring about real change, I'm also healing, fixing, uplifting, and saving myself. So the lesson for you this week, what have you done? Look at your life. Do an environmental scan. We talk about that a lot. Look at your relationships. Look at your career. Look at your health and wellness. Look at your spirituality. Look at your physical fitness. And stop looking to blame other people. And for today, for this moment, in this second, ask yourself and answer yourself honestly, what have I done to contribute to this? What can I learn from this? And what can I do to change this? What can I do to bring about a better result in the future? There's a lot that you were sent here to do, and we all of us, there's not one person walking on this earth, no matter how privileged they seem from the outside, no matter how divinely blessed they seem from the outside, there's not one person who's breathing air on this earth who has not experienced his or her share of trials and tribulations. That's part of the human experience. But the question is, what separates us, those of us who are striving from excellence, and those who are not, is what do we choose to do about it? And the first thing we do is we look at our lives and we ask ourselves, what can I do to change? What did I do to bring this about? What can I learn? And when you start to live your life from that space of taking personal responsibility, it frees you up. It empowers you, and it better enables you to go out into the world and bring real change. Bring about real change. Not that lip service that a lot of folk like to bring about. We'll talk about that another time. But real change. So starting today, from this day forward, in this moment, pledge to yourself, promise to yourself that you are going to take responsibility for your life. You are going to find a way to shift and adjust your attitude towards those things that you cannot change. You are going to find a way to become actively involved and bringing about course correction in those things that you can change. But most importantly of all, you will take the responsibility for the hand that you played, for the role that you played in creating the circumstances of your life right now, today, in this moment, and commit to bringing about a change. You can do it. You have that power. And when you change yourself, when you shift yourself, when you shift your attitude, when you shift your way of thinking, when you shift your way of being, when you allow yourself to transition from victim to victor, the things around you will begin to change. That's an energetic law. That's principle. Right? And you will be strengthened in such a way that those systems that are in place, they can't come. They won't be able to come for you. And you will have the strength and the tools and the wherewithal that is necessary to go out and fight the good fight from a position of strength and power rather than victimhood and lack. Right? So that's the message for today. Take responsibility for your life. That's something I'm striving to do more and more each day. Take responsibility for what's going on in my life, my attitude, my reactions, right, my impulses, and getting control of what I can control, which is myself. Getting in control, rather, of what I can control, which again is myself. All right? I want you to have a great week. I will see you all very soon. Look for some events that I will be posting on my Facebook page and my Twitter page. In the meantime, until the next time that I see you, be brilliant. Go out in this world and just be brilliant. All right? Take care. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.